I'd also suggest, Kinsey, that maybe the publishers are thinking, are people going to buy it? Because the popularity of the Gruesome Twosome, Meghan and Harry, has plummeted.
Yeah, I mean, they've seen a sincere decline when it comes to their popularity in the United States. But you know, classic Harry to talk about his Todger yet again. We're getting more Todger talk from Prince Harry.
There's another story, isn't there, about Venus Williams and Prince Harry. These are at the ESPYs. So is this right? The royal fans are claiming that Venus Williams snubbed Prince Harry at the ESPYs. What's that story?
Well, he got that award, the Pat Tilman Award, which caused a bit of controversy, feeling that was he worthy of it. Indeed, Pat Tilman's mother criticised that Harry got the award, although on the day it was a glittering ceremony. But what was interesting is it's quite easy when you take photographs. There is a sideways glance of Venus Williams, brilliant tennis player. Brilliant. Serena, her sister, was presenting the award. And you've got to look at basically frozen in time if looks could kill. And so basically the the anti-Harry and Meghan brigades are latching onto it. And well, everyone else is standing up and Venus doesn't stand up. And so that might be something that indication that the relationship between Venus and Meghan isn't all that strong. Of course, Serena Williams was part of one of Meghan's initial podcasts that she did, the Archetype podcast, which subsequently were cancelled by Spotify. And that was one of the great shames, because that could have been an absolutely fascinating insight into one of the great sportswomen of all time. Serena Williams transformed the sport of tennis. But anyway, she was presenting the award, but it looks like her elder sister wasn't too enamored with sitting as close as that to Meghan and Harry. But I don't know whether she doesn't like Meghan, but clearly that picture doesn't present the relationship in a very good light.
And what a shame Archetypes was cancelled. I'm absolutely mortified by that, as you know, Rupert.
Did you feel like it was a good speech?
Yes, I did, Kinsey. I really thought it was right and went down really well that he acknowledged the Tilman family. I mean, he would have got up and made that speech knowing exactly what had been said, and you know, possibly even feeling himself that someone else might have been more deserving of that award, someone that didn't have the platform that he enjoys. So I think what he did in that very gracious and humble speech, putting it all on the Invictus community, making it all about veterans, making it all about those who've served on the front line, was absolutely the right thing to do. You know, but we can't take away from the fact that Prince Harry himself served on the front line, and not just once, but 2 tours of Afghanistan. And, you know, I think there is always the risk when you have someone like the Duke of Sussex who caught such controversy within that spotlight, and that he's going to overshadow an event for all the wrong reasons. And you mentioned Serena Williams sort of jesting about them not stealing her thunder. And I'm sure that's probably, to be honest, Kinsey, why they chose not to walk the red carpet. They don't want to upstage the people that they're there for. But Harry was never going to snub that award or turn it down. So I think he did absolutely the right thing by making sure it wasn't all about him. It was about the wider community.
I do have to ask, because I think it's well, first of all, do you think Harry and Meghan understand why they're controversial figures? Because Prince Harry was controversial in the most fun way 10 years ago, but that tone has changed. Do you think that they are bewildered as to why somebody like Mary Tilman would consider them controversial or divisive, or do you think they understand that people don't agree with the things they've done since they've left the royal family? And I'm specifically talking about Oprah or some of the revelations in Spare.
I don't know is the honest answer, but I think they probably are so immersed in their own narrative that they probably find it quite hard to understand why people take a pop at them. They probably find it quite hard to understand why they are so divisive. But I think sometimes they do have the tendency to come over as being slightly tone deaf. And I think relieved and not entirely surprised. As you say, I said I thought he would make it about the Invictus Games, but I think he played that one really well. And I think it was a great speech, and I think he came out of it, you know, looking admirable.
I have seen, too, some people make the comment that they wondered if future foundations or award shows would hesitate to give them awards going forward in the future. And I think that that's a fair point. And I know we're running out of time, but I do think it's a fair point to make that some people might not think all press is good press and might hesitate to award them in the future, knowing that it could attract a lot of negative attention.
I think it's something they have to be mindful of, and they're not going to stop going to events. They're not going to stop going to awards. I mean, part of their strategy moving forwards is obviously to be high profile, and to make sure that they are seen and that they're all the right places. So there are always going to be controversial figures. I think they're always going to divide opinion, but it's not going to stop them from getting out there. I mean, this is Harry and Meghan, right? They're not going to step back quietly from the spotlight. So I think we can expect to see them at more things like this in the future.
Welcome back. Let's talk about Prince Harry, shall we? And let's go straight over and talk to the person I love to talk to about Prince Harry. She is, of course, over there on the West Coast, royal guru, our favourite guest, Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, I hadn't thought about this in a while, but where's Prince Harry's paperback book?
Yeah, well, what's fascinating about this? It's 18 months since Spare came out in hardback version. It was a best-selling book all over the world. Now, normally publishing houses, when they have a best-selling book, they'll leave it, sometimes it's 3 or 4 months and they'll bring out a paperback, 6 months max, and certainly they'll think about it before the summer holidays when people want to pick up a book to read while they're on vacation, or before Christmas or something like that, when people are in the mood to buy books. 18 months after Spare, there is no paperback version, which is extraordinary. Now, apparently, one of the things that publishers like to do when they release the paperback version is they like to spice it up with a few new stories. Now, apparently they got in touch with Harry and said, what have you got? What have you found out? What can you put in the book that'll, give us a nice selling point? Now, the interesting thing is, of course, since Spare, he's been totally frozen out by the royal family. They don't tell him a damn thing because they don't trust him. So when the publishers got in touch with him, he said basically he could tell them about struggling to watch the coronation from behind his Auntie Anne's plumed hat, because it got in the way, apparently, Princess Anne's hat. Having to nip into Buckingham Palace to use the loo en route to Heathrow Airport. And finally, the fact that Meghan wished Charles well after his cancer diagnosis. That's it. And that may well partly explain why there hasn't been a paperback version of Spare. But I'd also suggest, Kinsey, that maybe the publishers are thinking, are people going to buy it? Because the popularity of the Gruesome Twosome, Meghan and Harry, has plummeted.
Yeah, I mean, they've seen a sincere decline when it comes to their popularity in the United States. But classic Harry to talk about his Todger yet again. We're getting more Todger talk from Prince Harry in the updated book. That's like the last thing we're looking for.
Stop talking about your Todger.
So you're right. What they would need to do to repush this book is more content, like better content. We need an update on what's happened. And I think that either Prince Harry, as this article alludes to, has not been able to really get in touch with his family since the coronation. They have really distanced themselves, or is the publisher having, some human decency and saying, before we stress this family out again, let's allow them to get through this cancer battle, which, let's be honest, if there's money involved, human decency is usually not too close. But I'm hoping that perhaps it's the publisher saying, we're going to give this some time because the family is going through a really tough time. But at the end of the day, Kevin, Prince Harry, what are you trying to hide about your own family? Because Harry and Meghan are they'll let us know all about Harry's family, but we really know very little about Prince Harry and his family, about baby Lilibet, about Archie. You know, a chapter on what happens in Montecito on a day-to-day, a typical day for the Sussexes. Now that's their new surname, according to recent reports. Yeah. I think that could sell too, but Harry and Meghan are only willing to sell other people's secrets, it looks like.
Yeah, good point. As I say, it may be that the publishers don't feel that Harry's popular enough to warrant the publication of a paperback version, but it may be, as you say, or as I'm suggesting, he's got nothing to add to the party. So it does beg the question, though, what the hell is this guy doing? I mean,
accepting awards. Yeah. But don't forget, do you remember it was about 6 months ago, maybe a little longer, that a travel agency released a report that the most common left behind item in the lost and founds at hotels all over the world was Prince Harry's spare. People were dropping him off at pools, walking away. People were leaving him in their hotel rooms, walking away, and they had no one was coming back to get them. So all of these major chains were like, where do we send these used copies of Spare? I mean, people want this anymore.
Well, quite. I mean, I would say that, I read it. I'm sure, of course, you read it, and it was a good read. But as I was reading, I'm thinking, this is a member of the royal family. This guy's fifth in line to the throne. Why is he telling me that his manhood, his genitals got frostbite? Why? This sort of thing. You're quite right. So it was a surprising book, but it was a good read. It doesn't mean to say I approve of the book in itself. I thought it was a nasty little book, but it was well worth reading for the revelations, the surprising revelations. Of course, don't forget, we found out where he first had sex in a field behind a pub. That was very elevating as well, and so on and so forth. But now, so there's no paperback version. Perhaps they might release it before Christmas because they've missed the summer run now. There are 2 times you want to publish a book, just before the summer holidays and just before Christmas. But what is he doing with his life? What on earth is he up to? Apart from, as you say, ill-advisingly accepting that award last week for military veterans against the express wishes of the military veteran the award was named after, the mother of Pat Tilman. Really bad move, and people don't like him for that. But what is he doing? What is he doing with his life?
I know that this is not going to make you happy, but I'm sure he is planning to have to market the release of his upcoming polo series.
Oh, God.
The Chinless Wonders, is that what you call them? The
Chinless Wonders horse sport that no one gives a damn about. No one cares. Even people who go to polo matches don't care about polo.
Now let's talk about the King and Queen, because they've been in Jersey, haven't they? And this is the first royal visit to Jersey for a very, very long time.
About 10 years. He's known as the Duke of Normandy when he goes to Jersey, historical reasons, and he seemed to enjoy the visit, although there was a bit of a security scare. Obviously, maybe security protection officers a bit on edge, obviously, since the events of the weekend involving Donald Trump. But it was, in the end, was proved to be a false alarm. The Queen had just tucked into some Jersey ice cream when she was whisked away. But I think one of the overriding things to say, they went to the state houses, the sort of official governing body in Jersey. It is a crown dependency and has been since the medieval times, Middle Ages, not the medieval, the Middle Ages. And so it was, and the weather was pretty ordinary. But the Queen and the King like things when they go slightly wrong, and these 7 cows that they were presented in, one got a little frisky.
So, Rupert, what exactly did the cow do, or can you not say on breakfast?
Well, it proceeded to mount the other cow, which brought a collapse of said royal party. But as the Queen is a good country girl, I'm sure it's something that she has seen pretty regularly happen in the fields at Highgrove and her house as well. So.
Well, absolutely. And of course, well, the look on her face when she was eating the ice cream and then she was taken away, and I think she wanted to finish the ice cream. But anyway, they followed the mace, didn't they? Which was a gift from King Charles II to Jersey when the island gave him sanctuary during the English Civil War. But also, there's another custom where they were meant to be given 2 dead ducks, but they didn't get given those, did they?
And they got given 2 duck eggs. I think the Queen got 2 mallards last time she was there, but they were dead. But I think things have moved on, so it's felt probably more appropriate in these times to give 2 duck eggs. I've never eaten a duck egg, but I'm sure it's particularly good.
Yeah, very nice. And also, so these heifers, these are a gift, aren't they, to the royal family?
Well, the Jersey breed is well, obviously, as we know, that's Jersey milk. It's a high-class breed, so they will go to Highgrove, where, of course, the king is an ardent farmer, organic farmer, and I'm sure they'll have some lovely Cotswold grass to be eating soon when they return. I just hope one of them starts behaving a bit better in public next time.
Can I just tell you something? I'm going to make you smile. There's one forget that she turned up at Wimbledon in a purple dress. We'll talk about it. Forget everything. Do you know who I feel sorry for this weekend?
Go on.
Louis. His brother went to the bloody football in Berlin and his sister went to bloody Wimbledon with his mother. This poor boy was sat at home with his nanny crying with his Haribo going, I haven't gone anywhere. I felt sorry for Prince Louis.
He was probably delighted that he had it all to himself. He was probably running amok now in Louis. But,
what an amazing moment. You know I think she's Iron Kate. You know how much I think of the Royals, but I think Catherine Middleton is incredible. The standing ovation. She even gets the colour of the dress right, doesn't she, when she comes out, the purple of Wimbledon with the green. Wonderful moment, Robert, wonderful moment.
Yeah, it was. The standing ovation, I think, and the applause was wonderful. It was a moment. She loves tennis, and she does that role with aplomb. Everyone had a sneaking inkling that she was going to turn up if she was feeling well enough, but she looked very, very well. And I think, after her efforts for Trooping the Colour a month ago, I just think it was the perfect moment. She was there with her sister. She was there with her little girl, Princess Charlotte, and it was a lovely moment, a really British moment, if you like, and she looked amazing. So, yeah, may that journey to full health continue, and, yeah, I think she's a real star.
I mean, by the way, her daughter was incredible, and she was completely gobsmacked when she met Emma Raducanu. But I just think the thing about Kate is, and it is Diana-esque. She transcends, I think this is a really important point, she transcends class, she transcends everything. Very much like the Queen did, very much like Diana did. And I think, obviously, it probably don't come out right, but what she's going through, I think, has further cemented in people's minds just the sort of person that she is and how important she is to the monarchy. I think she's absolutely incredible. I'm very biased. I really think she is.
Well, Jeremy, you're absolutely right, because I've been writing books for a long time, but she's captured the imagination. I mean, this book alone has, around Europe, has been translated into 20 different languages. That's how interested all the European publishers are. Why
do you think she is so popular, Robert? You're right.
Obviously, what's happened in the last few months has been very, very traumatic, but it's that moment that she's gone from being this girl from Berkshire that's, yes, comes from a good family, but her journey is quite remarkable. Her children are princes and princesses. Her husbands are born to be king and a prince. Her father-in-law is the king. Yeah, she was the girl that went to work on a bus, on a London bus. And so she's probably keeping them in touch, the monarchy, at a time they do need to stay in touch and at a time of transition. And that's why I think the king, not only does he adore her as a daughter that he never had, but I think he realises just how important she is at the heart of the family and at the heart of this new modern royal family that's going forward.
I think that's a really good point, because we all know from the past with the late, amazing Diana, right, that there was jealousy in the royal family at the adulation, at the media coverage. Charles would admit this, I think. Certain family members as well didn't like it, didn't understand it, perhaps, is a better thing. It's almost as if Charles, forgetting the fact that his son is completely enamoured with his wife, which is fantastic, it's almost as if Charles understands, to modernise, to sustain, for the monarchy to continue, that Kate is that bridge. I really feel like that they can't over-egg how much of a bridge she is between. When the Queen died, Robert, we were talking lots on the telly and the radio, and I remember saying something to you, and you said I'd known nothing other than the Queen for my 60 years, 59 years, and I literally, I think in 30, 40 years' time, a lot of kids will say that about Catherine, Princess of Wales. I really do.
But I think that moment, as you just call it, Catherine the Princess of Wales, which is, you know, the title of what the book is, because there's the transformation. We've been talking about Kate Middleton all this time. We talk about the Duchess of Cambridge. Now she is probably, I mean, my understanding was that she didn't particularly, you know, it was a difficult act to follow Diana, but there's only been about 11 Princess of Wales. It's in all our history. And so the reality is, which is quite amazing, that role, she's filling that role now. And there is no, the word, the Princess of Wales, doesn't, you know, immediately make you think of Diana. She has grown into that role, and I think she's going to be incredibly important as going forward during this transition. But you see the King, you know, there's no jealousy at the attention she gets. He understands that she's a beautiful woman.
But that's really interesting for me, because that's him. You know, maybe he's got 10 years, 50, I don't know, but that's him understanding, for me, how important the monarchy is. It's not just about one person, and we're going to try and do a whole interview. We're going to try and do one interview without mentioning, but the Montecito Massive, as I call them, they don't seem to see the bigger picture. It seemed very much to be about what, and the irony of that is, of course, is that when they got married outside my bloody door, whatever that was, they were on the crest of a wave, and that was thrown away. But I think she's so special, Robert. I really do.
And you're in a big group of people that believe that now, and I think more than ever after the attacks that were made upon both William and Catherine, you'll see now, I think, just how important they are, and how many people now absolutely support them, the way that they raise their children, or the way they bring them out in public at the right moments to support the country and to help benefit people in need, from homelessness to mental health to young children. I think all of these things, they're showing themselves to be the embodiment of service, which ultimately is what the monarchy is about.
But I think that's the point. Service is what the monarchy is about. The old man taught me that, you know that. But actually within that, the confines of service and the model and the family, they do appear to be what's the word? Reachable. I mean, him going to the football and just, you know, through gritted teeth saying well done to Spain and hugging all the British players. Young George. My wife wants Oliver's hair to be like George's. I mean, we're in that at the moment. Get me the bloody hairdresser that does his hair. It's cool. And Charlotte going with them on. It just, I think that the royal family with her feels nearer and feels more real.
Seems warmer, seems more in touch with real people, and I think that is essential going forward. We don't know how the monarchy is going to evolve over the next 30, 40 years, but as you say, I think on reflection, when in several years' time from now, people will look back at this moment and realise how important she is. I think at the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral, and I think that stunning picture by Chris Jackson when she was just looked down the lens and it was just looked immaculate. I think she was the one that held it all together then, and you could see she was stepping into a role, an important matriarchal role, really, going forward.
I completely agree.
Who got the best deal? Was it Kate going to Wimbledon, or was it the Prince of Wales going to Berlin?
I think the Princess of Wales got the best deal going to Wimbledon. I know it was a Spanish, well, obviously it was a golden day to be Spanish yesterday, but I think Alcaraz's demolition job on Novak Djokovic was probably far more entertaining, and it was a tough watch, I think, for the Prince William and his son Prince George in Berlin last night.
I saw a fabulous meme going round of capturing a photo of when the Prince of Wales was leaning down and he looked like he was explaining something to Prince George, and the caption that went with it was saying, "One day it'll be your job to follow England to all these far-flung European lands and console the team," which I thought was quite well put. So Kate, she got a great reception, didn't she? Quite a big moment for her, wasn't it? She was, again, very visible, very out and about, following all the medical problems she's had.
Yeah, and you can't get away from the spotlight in that royal box. And look, coming out and getting a standing ovation, I think she's very much on home territory there. So it was an easy win, and it was always felt that she would try. I mean, the All England Club had it in the mind that they would have a contingency plan with the Duchess of Gloucester possibly coming in her stead. But she was able to make it, and she's a huge tennis fan. Of course, she was accompanied by her daughter as well. Her sister was there, so she had plenty of close family support around her as well. But she did look as if she was really enjoying it, and good to see her back out and about. She looked really well, so I think that's a very encouraging prognosis. Look, the match could have gone 4 hours. It was actually over in a trice by comparison to some of the matches that Alcaraz and Djokovic have had. So I think that might have been something of a relief, but you could see at the end how much she was enjoying being back out and about, and the reception she got throughout her day at the All England Club was absolutely terrific. So I think she did have a great day, and there's actually what she did sit down and watch the football, and I've seen out on social media a lovely picture of Charlotte and Louis watching the football with little football shirts on with their age on them. So a very nice picture. So they've had a proper, like most of us. I know, I was travelling back from France yesterday, and everybody on the plane wanted to watch Wimbledon and things. So basically, it was a huge sporting day, enjoyed with a great day, with everyone trying to catch the action.
As you know, I was at Wimbledon a few days before that, and sort of kept looking over at the Royal Box and thinking, oh, it just looks a little bit thin. It looks a little bit sad without the Princess of Wales, because I think she's become so synonymous with the sport. She not only is an avid tennis fan, loves the game, loves to watch the game, but she is a great player as well. I know that when her and William get on the court, it's one of the times when they are fiercely competitive. And I actually think that most of the time, the Princess of Wales wins. She beats her husband in tennis because she's a great tennis player. And it's lovely to know that sort of tennis bug that runs through the Middleton genes has been inherited by Princess Charlotte, because she looked really engaged during that match. And I loved it that the Princess of Wales went to meet all of the ball boys and the ball girls and some of the other players and introduced them to Charlotte and said, you know, when they met Alcaraz after he'd won, that they've been watching the leaderboard and they've been watching the tennis at home. You know, you can see that tennis is something that's really important to them. And as I say, something that's been continued. And I thought it was lovely that Princess Charlotte was there. It sort of felt like a mummy and daughter's day out. And of course, Pippa, Auntie Pippa to Charlotte, was there in the Royal Box as well. So I think a really nice family outing. And I think it really lifted everyone's spirits to see the princess not only there, but looking as well as she did, Kinsey.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll transition to Prince William and Prince George, but how cute did Charlotte look in her Ray-Bans? When I saw her in her little pink Ray-Bans and her polka dot dress, all I could think was, I will never be as cool as this child. This is a child that is cooler than me, and I will never be as effortlessly cool as Princess Charlotte, sitting there watching the balls go back and forth. She has inherited everything I absolutely love about both of her parents.
Yeah, she did look incredibly cool and comfortable. And forget she's only 9 years old. That's a long match for a 9-year-old to sit through. I mean, I did notice, Kinsey, and I don't know whether you noticed this as well, the cameras seemed less trained on the Royal Box than they usually are. I wonder if there'd perhaps been a word, I don't know, but possibly a word between the Palace and the BBC that, given the Princess of Wales is going through treatment, given she was there with her daughter, as I say, Charlotte's only 9, that perhaps the cameras weren't going to hone in too much on that Royal Box. But yes, a big thing for a young child to sit through. And as always at these events, Princess Charlotte behaving absolutely impeccably. And as you say, sort of having the smoothest qualities of both of her parents, and clearly having inherited that passion for tennis, while Prince George obviously has the football bug. And he was, of course, at the Olympian Stadium in Berlin, watching the final between Spain and England. Another nail-biting final. I think the thing that struck me most of all, Kinsey, was the picture of William and his son sort of on the edge of their seats, heads in their hands, waiting to see if England were going to be able to recover in those final few minutes of the game, which of course they couldn't. And I just thought, okay, Prince George, you're going to have to get used to this. This is England. We made it to the final. We didn't quite make it through. You're in for many years of some disappointment and hopefully many successes to come. But it was just that sort of plethora of emotions that both of them were going through. And it's like watching a mini me when you see Prince George with his father, particularly when they seem to be watching football together. They really do mirror one another.
Oh, I mean, identical. The facial expressions, I saw several pictures out there where there would be like joy, pain, and it just, you could see carbon copies on one another. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This was such a fun weekend, and I do think that it was heightened by the fact that the Princess of Wales was a surprise. On top of that, we also get a Charlotte sighting. So it was an incredible weekend for royal watching. It does feel like, it feels like things are improving, and it feels like perhaps, things are getting better at home health-wise. But we also, again, are grateful for the opportunity to see the Princess of Wales, but understanding that there are good days and bad days, and there's no pressure to see her again anytime soon, because we understand that she just wants to be better for her babies.
Of course, and I'm quite sure that we probably won't be seeing her anytime in the near future, because the children have broken up for their summer holidays. They're going to be leaving Windsor, heading to Anmore Hall, which is their countryside bolt hole in Norfolk, and really just hunkering down as a family, enjoying the British summer, or what we have of a British summer. I have to stress it hasn't been wonderful, but that doesn't seem to bother them. They really enjoy these sort of typical bucket and spade holidays, going sailing. They've got a lot of friends in Norfolk, and I think this is just some time to be together as a family. I was told there were 2 events that the princess was absolutely determined to be at. One was Trooping the Colour, of course, the King's official birthday parade, and we saw her there up on that balcony in June. She was determined to be there to support her father-in-law, the King, and to try and make it to Wimbledon. A bit of disappointment that she didn't make it for the women's finals, but I think a sense of a really happy surprise that she was able to be there for the men's finals. And as you say, Kinsey, I think this is an indication that at home things are getting better, that she is feeling well enough. I mean, I thought she looked fantastic. I mean, yes, of course she's looking slim. She's going through some pretty grueling treatment, but that smile and those dimples, she looked really radiant. She looked so happy to be there.